Hello shrimp and fish people. So the time has come to start setting up my shrimp rack here. I got 3 tanks that I gotta fill with water. And I just wanted to show you exactly what the setup is. So I'm gonna be using HM filter, which is the using a chloride filter as the sponge. And it's a simple setup. All you have is the uplift tube, and you gotta drill a hole through the sponge, and you just push it right through. And on this end in the back here, you're gonna add a air hose and an air pump, which is gonna drive the water up the tube, and as the bubbles rise up, the water will come out as well. So it's a really good filter. It's got a huge surface area for beneficial bacteria to colonize, and you don't really need to clean it that often. You know, maybe just with a gravel cleaner, just suck out the muck that collects in there. And yeah, it's a really good filter, especially for shrimps, as you know, they have this area to graze on, because everything's gonna just kind of collect and go through the foam here. These big pipes actually, they create quite a bit of flow, and you can control it with the amount of air you push through. So yeah, so that's how that goes, and it's gonna be on this side here. I'm not sure if you can see the end of the tank. I'll just move it a little bit for you guys. There you go. So it's gonna be on this end here, all the way to the back. So that's how it's gonna be. Yeah, so I'm just going to have to attach a hose to it, and then I'm going to be talking about some of the additives I'm going to put into the gravel. Alright guys, so let's talk about a little about the substrate additives that I'm going to be using here. You can actually see me for the first time probably. So what I like to add to my tanks are just basically the basic stuff to keep my substrate healthy. This is a shrimp tank, or these are going to be the shrimp tanks, and I don't want to touch the substrate. Basically, I never clean the substrate in my shrimp tanks. The bioload that they make is not that much, so that's why I want to have a healthy substrate, and I give it a good start so that it lasts a long time. The substrate I'm going to be using is the ADA Amazonia and aqua soil, and that one is active substrate, and I don't want to touch it for the life of that substrate, right? So that's going to be probably, hopefully, a couple of years. Another thing about the substrate is to start cycling your tank, you're better off. Let's say it this way: it's faster cycling if you use neutral pH water, because then the beneficial bacteria will reproduce faster, and also if you have a heater in there, they will reproduce faster, and therefore your tanks will cycle faster. But that will also exhaust your substrate, active substrate. So because of that, I choose to use just remineralized RO water, and I know the cycling will take probably about a month, but I'm fine with that. So okay, so the first thing I use is the, let's see if it focuses, I'll put it right in front of me. It's the ADA Bacter 100, and what that is just 100 beneficial substrate bacteria in dormant state. Then the next product I like to use is the Tourmaline BC. Hopefully it focuses. And that one is supposed to give us a static charge, which will wake up the Bacter 100 bacteria. And also it keeps your water crystal clean, as it absorbs toxins and all that stuff. The next one I like to use is Bacter AE from Glasgarten, and that one is it's basically, it helps maintain water quality. It helps the growth of biofilm, and also acts as food for the Bacter 100 bacteria. So that's really good stuff. I also dose this twice a week after the water is cycled for the food for the shrimps. Another thing I like to use is bacteria B, or bacteria, what is this, B max, and that's just basically also for water quality. It gives microbes to the water. Shrimps like to eat that. It also absorbs toxins, and overall just improves water quality. I have some bulk stuff here as well, which is the same as the B max, so I might use that. Also, if you don't have any of these, let's say, you can use baby food. Baby food is basically very similar to these, only finer granules. Like it's actually just powder for the little shrimps to eat, but it's basically very similar to this. It helps them molt, it helps them grow. Any excess will remove toxins from the water. So yeah, they're all very similar products. Okay, so another thing I like to use is the Mirenekuton. I think that's what it's called, Mirenekuton powder. And that's just basically minerals that slowly get released. It's a powder. They say it mixes right away, but it doesn't just dissolve in the water. It'll just spread in the tank better, and it will slowly release minerals which are necessary for microorganisms to thrive. And I mentioned in another video the Cyclops. I believe this is very important for the Cyclops survival. So it improves overall water quality, and it also helps obviously shrimps. So that's these things that I will add to the underneath the gravel, which I said is ADA, Aqua Soil Amazonia. So I'm just gonna go ahead now and position the camera and start putting it in. Alright guys, I tried to get rid of the glare, but it just wasn't as easy. Alright, so I'm gonna start with the Bacter 100. Just gonna put a thin layer on top, and interesting fact about this one is ADA claims that if you sprinkle this on what is it? What do they call it? The blue-green algae. That's like the spot algae, green spot algae. That it will actually within 5 days, that it will disappear. So, and I have been using it and trying that, and I'm not sure if it really worked or just it disappeared by itself, but it seemed like it works. So I like to add this maybe once a month, just to, just add half a scoop or so to the tank. Shrimps love to eat it, and it's apparently good for their digestive system. So I'll just give it a nice layer here. So this is all to have a really good healthy substrate for a long time. As I said, I don't vacuum my substrate ever. Okay, so that should be good enough of that. I just want to make sure the filter is in snug. So we'll loosen the top. That's okay. Perfect. And as you see, I just kind of jammed it in the corner. I want to maximize the area of the tank all the way to the bottom. So it's good. So when I clean it, I'm just going to be pushing against it like that and sucking up all the dirt. Alright, so the next step I will do is put the, I don't know if it focuses, Tourmaline BC. Alright. And all this stuff is supposed to be put on the power sand, but I'm not using any power sand because I don't think it's very beneficial if you don't have rooted plants, and that's one of the things I don't have in my shrimp tanks. I don't have any plants that are in the substrate, other than occasional Bucephalandra root going down. And all that for simplicity of keeping up the the tank, so I don't have to trim it, don't have to put my hands in there. So I'm just going to put a thin layer of this as well. This is a 15 gallon, in case you guys wonder. The other two are 20 long. Alright, so this powder is supposed to make little Frankenstein monsters, I guess, as they state that the static charge will wake up the bacteria in the dormant state. Okay, so the next step I'll put in there is the Bacter AE from Glasgarten. I also use this for, as I said, 2 times a week for the biofilm in the tank. The shrimps love to eat this stuff. Some people claim that this killed their shrimps. I don't know, maybe. Even Glasgarten is saying to, when you add it for the very first time, to use half the dose, so maybe there is some truth behind that. So maybe just start adding it slowly. But right now, what I'm doing here is so that the beneficial bacteria, the gravel bacteria, substrate bacteria, has something to eat. So that's basically their kickstart. Alright. That should be good enough. Okay, next up, I'm going to be putting some, I'll put some Benibachi Bee3. And this is the bulk one that I have, so I didn't know that I have to keep it in the fridge, so most of those, I believe that the microbes that are in there, the bacteria, is dead, but it has other benefits as absorbing toxins and stuff, so that's why I'm putting this in the substrate. It's not just for the microbes. Okay. Maybe I'll give it some B-Max, because this one I keep in the fridge, and it has the microbes, so I'll give him some of that. Oops, I just spilled some. I just spilled some golden powder. And remember, you can set up a shrimp tank without all these, but this is it's not going to last as long, right? So your system may crash earlier. Your gravel will become very dirty, and in that case, you may have to vacuum it. And for Taiwan bees or any bee shrimp, that's not a good idea, because they like everything to be really stable. Neocardina, yeah, you can do that, no problem. They're pretty hard shrimp. So. Okay, and the last thing is the Mirenekuton mineral powder. Same thing, just gonna. This is a small spoon. We'll just grab a bigger one. There we go. That's good. They consider this. Is this one? No, that's the other one. The Tourmaline BC. They consider that some kind of precious stone. You can read about it on their webpage. It's just like a diamond. Alright. That will give it a good start. They also say to add this every day in your tank, but you gotta be careful with all these additives. While some do not affect your GH or well, yeah, they would not affect your GH. Your TDS is going to go really, really high. So if you are checking your water quality like I did in the past, I would be measuring the TDS, and I would think everything's okay, but then my GH just goes really high or something, and shrimp start dying, and you don't know why. Well, that's why it's better to actually check your GH rather than the TDS. That's a better indicator. Alright, so that's that, and I'm just gonna grab the substrate and we can put the substrate in. Alright guys, so now we're ready to add the substrate, and I mentioned earlier I like to use the Amazonia from ADA, Aqua Soil Amazonia, and this is the old style. There's a lot of organic matter in this one compared to the new style, and I did use the new style in one of my tanks, so I'm speaking from experience. It seems like the granules are more uniform in size, but I had a hell of a time to clear up the cloudiness in the water. It seems there's so much dust that it's really hard to take out. I had to add some extra floss in there, and it took me probably a good let's say 2 to 3 weeks to get rid of that. The new style has a different bag, so that's how you can distinguish. It's something similar to this. It's kind of plain looking gray, and it'll say Aqua Soil. This is the powder version of it. We used to use that on top to prevent any food from sinking into the gravel. I don't use it like that anymore, because it doesn't matter. Once you put the Malaysian trumpet snails in, they will eat anything that sinks in. So yeah, so I'm just going to put a thin layer. I'll start with that. It's just a thin layer first to prevent all the substrate additives to move around. And again, if I to compare this to the new style, this one has a lot of organic matter in, like little wood chips and stuff, and I think those are all beneficial to the shrimps, as they will eat them or eat the microbes that are growing on it. So I think this is a better substrate for your shrimps, for a shrimp tank in general. Alright, so it's just a thin layer first. Okay, at this point I just want to make sure again that the filter didn't move, so everything's good. Excuse me. So now I can just dump pretty much the rest of this bag. Then I'll have to open another bag. I don't have enough here. So that's that. Another substrate I trust is the fluval stratum. So I use either one of these. I love them, they're great substrates. I'm pretty sure there's other ones that are equally good, but these are the two that I have access to, and I trust them. Okay, let me just open the other bag. So the way I like to set up my substrate is I like it higher in the back, as that gives you a better visual of what's inside as it's sloped downwards. And usually I go approximately that much above here and then higher, so probably a couple inches or so in the back. Okay, now to do the landscape, I use a business card from my shrimp supplier. Alright, so now we're ready for the water. So let me get the water and we'll start filling it up. Alright guys, for adding water I like to use this breeder box for guppies, and I like to just put it on the side, on the gravel I mean, and as you pour the water in, the water will seep through the holes here and you won't disturb the substrate as much. So that's kind of nice. And that's how usually my tanks end up clear right after I add the water. Alright, so that's going to be a problem. Just 1 second. Alright. There we go. Now I did test these tanks prior to doing this to make sure they don't leak. So they should all be waterproof. I believe that would be the worst thing if you don't test them and then come to this stage and then they start leaking. It would be a nightmare. Alright guys, so this is what I've done before I ran out of substrate. The bottom 20-gallon tank isn't set up yet, so that's something I'm gonna have to do at a later time. I got this 20-gallon set up. You can see the HM filter is pushing quite a bit of water, and I didn't even connect it to the central air pump. So yeah, it's just a regular air pump that I connected it to. I think it was a Fusion one or something like that. And the 15-gallon as well. So those are the two. I don't have the lights for these tanks yet. The 20-gallon, this one has lights, but these would be way too strong for this tank. I think this video is long enough, so I think I'm gonna end it right here. So thanks for your patience, guys. Really appreciate it. And if you liked it, please thumbs up and comment if you liked it. If you didn't like it, suggestions, whatever you want to say. And yeah, see you next time.